us to answer two age-old questions. Firstly, what is my gift? Imagine that. That's what the book answers. Gifted tells you what your gift is. And the second thing is, so what do I do with that? Because so often, even quite mature Christians walk around with the question, so what am I called to? So you're called to do what you're gifted in. We'll see in a moment. It says, if your gift is prophecy, guess what you should be doing? I don't think you need this course. Anyway, we're going to do it in any event. So, what is my gifting and what am I called to? Not only in my own life, but also in the church and in the kingdom. All right. I have brought a plethora. I've never been able to use that word in a preach. There we go. It's new in Janssenville. A plethora of props. So we'll start with this lot. Now, when probably shouldn't put it there. Ja, ek moet. Tuurlijk. No, don't worry. Don't worry. Just have faith. Okay, so for those who know me, this is my toolbox. It used to be the step into our caravan with some stuff in there. And those that know me well will also know that when something breaks down, I'm not the guy on speed dial. You shouldn't be phoning me. That's your man. When your car breaks down, don't phone me. My favorite tool is this one. In fact, my dad used to say on the farm, jy my seun is die enigste man op die plaas wat kan werk met al twee hande in jou sakke. Any event. Never mind. This is my favorite tool. Second only to this one. Okay, we'll come back to those later on. I also have some other stuff. A screwdriver. I actually do use this from time to time and know what it's for. I also have a different screwdriver. This for those that are challenged, like myself. This is called a flat screwdriver. This is called a star and screwdriver. Or for the more intellectually advanced, it's called a Phillips screwdriver. This particular one is also called an ancient screwdriver, because I inherited it from my father-in-law. So this goes back into the box. This is something we can never find when we need to use it. It's very handy. I love it. I love that thing that it does. This is so lekker. And then, in any event, and then something that I don't often use is a shifting. Basically, that's for bolts and nuts and all sorts of things to undo and do them. However, if you can't find a hammer, you just turn it around and ta-da! But it's best used as a shifting spanner. They tell me. Okay. I also have this thing. I have no idea. But I have it. I have inherited this from my father-in-law as well. He was quite handy. You should put something else through there, I know. But this thing can loosen or tighten something really big. I have a sneaky feeling it has something to do with a geyser. But I actually have no idea. So this one is best left in the box. Obviously then, the one that we know well, a pair of pliers that can cut through some wires. The only reason why I have it is that my son actually drove over it in the street. And it punctured his tire. And he came home with a pair of pliers inside of his tire. Not like inside, but sticking out the side. So that I think I know what the problem is. Let me fetch the hammer and whack that thing out of your tire. So, this is really handy. We do use it from time to time. The rest is really interesting, but I won't tell you about them. Okay, we'll come back to that. So who knows, apart from my own preferences, which of these tools are the most, or is the most important one? Mm-hmm. Exactly what I thought. Until I had to turn in a screw. That lol. It's not the easiest thing. You can try that side. It's still bothersome. You can hit, I've done that before. Then I found there's something called a ring shank nail. It's almost like a screw, but it's a nail. So I prefer those. The trouble is to get them out. In any event, you guys are completely off the topic now. The question is, which is the most important tool? The one you need, man. That's the answer. Obviously. So imagine that this is the thing that you've got in your hand, and you need to undo a bolt. It's just not going to work. I've whacked them before. It doesn't work. There's other tools. I'm not going to go there because some of them are used in plumbing. And yeah, it's just... Let's get back to the notes. It's so much safer. The bottom line is that each one of these tools are completely different. If you've seen, the 15-second clip to the... Who's actually watched that? Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I don't know. Where do you see that? On Instagram? Facebook? Website? Facebook. Okay. That's where it is. So each week we do like a teaser as to what we're going to be doing. And this was the very hammer and the very screwdriver. Famous in Janssenville. In any event, the bottom line is that each one of these are specifically made for a specific purpose. You can turn screws in and out with this, provided that it's for a flat screwdriver and not a Phillips. And you can whack things with this. Very handy tool. But the discipline or the children's course was last week. Anyway, the bottom line is that every single one of these tools are purposely custom made for a specific purpose. They've been designed for a specific job. They're different. The one isn't better than the other. They're all equal. They were all created equal. It's somewhere in the Bible it says God created all tools equally. And it's about when you need it, you reach for that specific one. And so we too have a specific design. You have a specific design, a specific gift, a specific personality because of what God wants to do in and with and through you, says Apostle Paul as he writes to the church in Rome. So can we have Romans chapter 12, verse 1 to 8. You all still with me up to this point? Romans 12, 1 to 8. Therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and to prove what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. For by the grace given to me, I say to every one of you, do not think of yourself higher than you ought to. Also, I just added in there, and also don't despise yourself. But rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with a measure of faith that God has given you. Just as each one of us has a body with many members, and these members do not all have the same function, so in Christ, we who are many form one body, and each one belongs to the others. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. We have different gifts according to the grace given us. If a man's gift is prophesying, let him prophesy in proportion to his faith. If it is serving, let him serve it. If it's teaching, let him teach. If it is encouraging, let him encourage. If it is contributing to the needs of others, let him give generously. If it is leadership, let him govern diligently. If it is showing mercy, let him do so cheerfully. Okay, so that's our reading for today. I'm going to try and make 5 points. It's so much easier to just stick to, what you can do in one hand, in any event. The first one is, I'd like you to kind of say this with me. It's one of those plug and play preachers. So the first thing you have to say is, I have a gift. I have a gift. Isn't that wonderful? I have a gift. Yeah, you don't have to go all pitchy. But okay, I have a gift. So let's mention those again. Prophecy, service, teaching, encouraging, contributing financially, leadership, and mercy. I have a gift, or a couple of them. There we go. Number 2. See, we were making great progress here. Number 2, I am unique. Indeed, like every single one of these tools, I am unique. Romans 12:6. The first portion says, we have different gifts according to the grace given to us. We have different gifts according to the grace given to us. God decided to make each and every one of us different from one another, which is absolutely fantastic. Because I think one of me is just about enough for this world. On the other side, I think the fact that there's only one Tanya is a very sad reality. In any event, let's move on. This is why it is so incredibly important that you will just be yourself. Because everybody else has been taken. We already have taste. You can't beat taste. Be Neville. Be yourself. You are unique. And you are unique and designed by God. You're not unique because of some stroke of luck, good or bad, or by chance. You are unique by God's perfect design, will, and purpose. That's why you're unique. Now, most of you have already done the gifts assessment. If you haven't done the assessment, you'll find it in the booklet. That's on that kind of first page. You'll find that literally the first page. You go to second page, www.hillcrestchurch.co.za/gifted. And that's where you answer the 42 questions, which takes about 42 seconds, and it tells you what these same 7 gifts. It gives you an idea of which gifts you are most leaning into. And so most of you have already done your assessment. And if you haven't done it, now you know how to do it. And you should be doing it by this afternoon. Because you should know your gifting. Because tomorrow is day 1, week 1. You don't want to get there without knowing what your gift is. Chaos. Okay, so please do that this afternoon. Now, consider your gift mix. Once you know what your gift mix is, consider that gift mix. And then maybe it's kind of, you can always imagine them as being ingredients. Things like eggs, flour, milk, sugar, salt, and so on. So if you take my gift mix, and you gift mix me together, my ingredients, preheat on 180 for about half an hour, and pop me in there. I will come out as something, I've decided, according to the notes, my notes, not the book, it'll be a biltong and feta quiche. I've decided on the same gift mix for Tanya. Remember now that her gift mix is different. So popping her in at 180, taking her out, she will come out, according to my notes here, as a bar 1 chocolate muffin. You see, they're both rather tasty, but they're very different. Or I might be a curry stew, and she might be a chocolate delight dessert. Once again, both of them very delicious, but for different occasions. Different moments. Imagine waking up to a spicy curry for breakfast. Well, Durrell would, but for the rest of us, you have to be tough wood. Now, just that word imagine, it's one of Tim's favorites. Imagine. How does he do it? Imagine. Imagine. You go to a fancy restaurant and you wait for the menu. And they say that, so we actually don't have menus here. So, but why do we don't have menus because we only have one dish. And that one dish has one ingredient, it's boiled rice. But we do it really well. Well, I won't be coming back. Thing is, God has given us different ingredients. Each and every one of us, different gift mixes. God created me and you uniquely for just that same reason. Just like each one of these tools are differently designed and specifically made for a specific function, for its specific purpose, God has created us uniquely, each and every one of us, with a unique gift mix to function according to our specific calling. God has created you with your own unique gift mix to function according to your specific calling. That was number 2. Which is? I'm unique. Number 3. I'm connected. You're connected. We can all be connected. So Romans 12 verse 5. So in Christ, we are many from one body, and each member belongs to all the others. Each member belongs to all the others. We are all connected. So now my toolbox, I know, isn't very impressive. But now if Sean, or Kevin, or Matthijs, or Maurice, or Brian, yeah, indeed, or David, or Henk would start unpacking their toolboxes, it would definitely take you quite a while for them to get the job done. Well, not the job done, to explain. Or Jean. He's good. Okay. No, he doesn't quite come in a box in any event. But the thing is, even I have more than one tool. It's as you can see, it's not only a hammer and a screwdriver. I used to believe that anything can be fixed by a hammer. And if at first you don't succeed, then all you need is a bigger hammer. It's the biggest one I could fit in there, sorry. But the analogy is probably quite obvious. Each job requires a different tool designed for that purpose. You can't just go with a bigger hammer. It's still not going to undo that screw. So we are all interconnected. We need one another. Have you ever tried to cheat? This kind of happens on the farm sometimes, or used to happen on the farm, because the windpomp isn't close to the house. And you get there, and all you have is a flat screwdriver, and you actually need a star screwdriver. And you try to make it work. Because this is the one that you've got, and the other one is 7 kilometers away. Or you've forgotten it on the other side. And you have to make it work with it. It just doesn't work. Just trying to force it doesn't work. We are interconnected. We need that which somebody else might bring to the party. I cannot undo or screw in or out a Phillips, a star screw with a flat screwdriver. Believe me, I've tried. I can't even do it with my multi-tool. I have a multi-tool, by the way. You should see what my multi-tool's flat screwdriver looks like. Because I've abused it in using it for all sorts of reasons that it wasn't designed for. You see, sometimes even when I need a Phillips, a star screwdriver, I have a bent towards this one. I have a sentimental lean towards this one. But as you can see, it's not the biggest one, unfortunately. And sometimes you just need a bigger. And somebody zipped my biggest one, by the way. You need a bigger star screwdriver. They might both be stars, but this one simply cannot do the big screws. And sometimes, when your gifting is teaching or prophecy, you need to sometimes hang out with a bigger screwdriver. You need to hang out with a guy that's been teaching for longer. You need to hang out with a guy that's been prophesying for longer. Just kind of, even though you have the same gift, sometimes you need just that bit of encouragement, that bit of, experience behind you. So, bottom line is we all need one another. We are all interconnected. Imagine if Norman's gift, don't look around, we don't have a Norman. I specifically went with Norman because we don't have one. If Norman's gift was giving generously, because Norman is wealthy. So suddenly, we all think that Norman has to pay for everything because his gift is generosity. So the rest of us, we don't even tithe because Norman will give. We will prophesy. We'll prophesy that God blesses Norman even more so that he can give even more and he can pay for everything else. And it's not kind of that interconnected. It's actually the interconnected that we all fulfill our function. When there's a bucket needed because it's raining and it's dripping, even though he wasn't paid for it, he fetches the bucket. And it's done. Interconnected. Thank you, Norman. If only we had a guy that could fix roofs, box cutters, or maybe sell rubberizing. Let's move on. We need every gift to fulfill the function in order to see our community become more like Christ. We need every single gift seated here. Every single personality, every single individual. Even if your gift is completely and exactly identical to somebody else's, like Wayne, it's very unlikely. But even if your gift is exactly the same as Wayne, Wayne operates in a different sphere of influence than I do or you do. And so even though we might be a perfect match, you're going to still have a place to operate in because he's connected to guys that you will never connect with. That's the beauty and the wonder thereof. We need every single gift to function effectively. Not only do I have a gift, not only am I unique, but I need to also be connected. Number 4, I must grow. I must grow. Growth is one of the very bottom line indicators of life. If it's alive, it grows. If it's alive, it grows. And that's the plan and the purpose for every single one of us, is to grow. And so that we will grow in each of these spiritual gifts. You might not have all 7. You probably don't have all 7. But that we will grow in the gifts that we do have. And that's the plan over these next 6 weeks. So today it's just a broad kind of dragnet, just chuck it out there, mentioning all of them. And then we're going to take each one of these gifts for 6 weeks to unpack each one of them one by one. Prophecy, serving, teaching, encouraging, giving, leadership, and mercy. To help equip us to use these God-given grace gifts to grow into Christ's likeness, to uplift one another, to change and to uplift and to turn around this community. We are called to be the disinfectant into our community. Once you've done your gift assessment, it'll give you a little list. It'll list them for you. Take a screenshot. You can do it. I've got a screenshot of mine. Then show your spouse or your friend. Tell your life group. So if you haven't done this is some of the assignment number 1 for Thursday evening. Tell your life group, this is my gift mix. And then call it out of one another. So apparently, I'm quite prophetic. But I haven't done it yet. How does this thing work? So we call it out of one another. Practice, and we grow week by week. Number 5, I must act. This series is not about information. That's why I've got a toolbox. It's not about information. It's not trying to get you to be able to list the 7 gifts in order, because Paul could have put them in any order. It's not relevant. The order isn't relevant. It's like these tools, which one has to be first? It's about the one that you need. It's not about information. It's about transformation. Transformation through action. Your action. Only you can act on that which God wants to do in and through you. And so Romans 12:2, that's why I actually started with that portion. Although it's slightly different, it gives us some form of context. It says the following: do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then you'll be able to test and approve what is God's will, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. See, we often quote this verse, or we've often heard this verse, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, but kind of how? Transformed by renewing mind, but how? By becoming more and more effective in our gifts, by using your gifts. It will help to transform the mind. It will take us into a whole new, different realm with God. Finding out what your spiritual gift is step number 1 in your transformation. And then you need to grow. In order to grow, you also need to step out. You have to act. You actually have to do it for the sake of yourself, but also for the sake of others, for the sake of the church, for the sake of the community. You actually need to step out there, get out and do it. So this is the verdict. We always need to preach towards a verdict. In the end, you want the jury to come up with, this is it. This is why we are doing this. This is where we're heading. It is for us as a community, for us as a people, to transform our local church, but more importantly, the community, through the superpower gifts that God has given us in His grace. Now, the interesting thing is, so that's the 5 points. The interesting thing is that you'll note that none of these tools can do anything by themselves. They actually need to be in a hand. They need to be in a hand that holds them and grips them fairly firmly. Whether it's a hammer or whether it's a screwdriver. None of them can do anything by itself. The screwdriver, the hammer, the whatever, needs a hand with a firm grip on it. Every single tool, it can be a high quality, I wouldn't quite call this high quality, but you can buy a platinum, vanadium, steel, lithium ion operated, whatever. Just give me a word, David. You can buy a really good tool, but in an unskilled hand, it can probably do more harm than good. If you don't believe me, pop around to Jean's practice tomorrow. I'll be there. I'm talking about me doing not him. Let's just get that. Okay. So even the best tool, the greatest tool in an unskilled hand can really do more harm than good. But here's the good news. Not only did God give you spiritual gifts, but He's also the one holding you in His hand. Now for the unveiling. Where's Ray when you need him? A drum roll would have been just classic. Shouldn't see this. Never mind. So, what we have here is a cricket bat. A GM. I love it that it's a Gun & Moore. Simply because when I was 12, the first bat I bought was a Gun & Moore. This bat in my hand comes in at $650. Quite cheap. bottom of the range. In fact, when I went to the guys yesterday, I said, I want the bat that A.B. de Villiers uses. They gave me the bat as I walked out with it. I didn't pay for it. The guy said, maybe I'll swap with this one, because that one was $6,000. So he said, if anything happens to it, because I'm supposed to give this back, you see, that's why it's nicely wrapped, courtesy of Sports Scene. Now, in my hands, this is worth $650. In the hands of A.B. de Villiers, in the IPL, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 21. He played for the same team for those 4 years, earning $22 million each year for those 2 months of each year. So this bat, in his hands, over that span, $88 million. He earned $20 million for the previous 4 years per year in the IPL. Knowing that, or just remembering that the IPL only runs for about 2 months a year. Cricket ball, 150. 150. Kagiso Rabada last year came in, IPL, 18.6 million. In my hand, 150. In his hand, 18.6 million. Chris Morris, 2021, year before. In my hand, 150. In his hand, for that IPL 2 months, is it 31 or 33? 33 million. 33 million. You see, the bottom line is it depends on whose hand you're in. This rugby ball, I'm not too sure because they didn't put a price on it. I'm going to guess about 150 in my hands. Ibn Etzebeth, highest paid South African rugby player. 18 million per year for 3 years for Toulouse. It all depends in whose hand you are. It's a Wilson tennis racket coming in at another, I think, cheapie. 1,500. However, Nadal, just for winning the French Open, 38.5 million for winning Roland Garros. Djokovic for winning Wimbledon, 41 million for the final. The thing is, it's not about the tool. It's not about the instrument or the piece of sporting equipment. It's all about the hand in which it is. You see, in my hand, this is a walking stick, which is quite handy when you're going up a mountain. But Moses, in his hand, it's quite different. In my hands, 2 fish and 5 loaves can hardly feed the family. In the hands of Jesus, it fed a multitude. 12 baskets left over. You should have seen this coming. I bought these 4 nails because I love hammers. 5 rand for the 4 at H&L. In my hands, they're worth $5. In the hands of Jesus, they become the tools. It releases the blood of mercy and of forgiveness. See, it's all about the hand in which it is. In the hands of Jesus, 5 rand nails can work salvation for nations. If we choose Him, if we align ourselves with Him for all of eternity. It simply depends on whose hand you're in. I'm going to land and ask, what will you do with the spiritual gifts that Jesus placed in your hands? And will you remember, no matter how skilled you become in using that gift, that it's not about you nor me, but it's about the hand of Jesus that holds us, each and every one of us, each and every day. Tim, you can come and share.